Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing a mini deep dive on something a lot of you have been asking about, Apollo developers. Yeah, so if you're thinking about building like a really awesome fast app, you've probably heard of GraphQL.
Definitely hot topic these days.
For sure. And Apollo developers, they're the ones who can really make GraphQL sing.
Absolutely.
But hiring developers, it could be a real headache. Am I right?
It's a jungle out there.
That's why I always recommend checking out the perfectdeveloper.com. They have this super helpful tool called the 5 questions that helps you really pinpoint exactly what you need in a developer.
I've heard good things about that.
It's a game changer. But okay, back to Apollo. Can you give us like the quick and dirty explanation of what Apollo is and why everyone's making such a fuss about it?
Well, you got GraphQL, right? It's this really powerful language for APIs.
Right. For getting data.
Exactly, like a super efficient way for your app to talk to the servers holding all the info.
Okay, but I've heard it could be kind of complicated.
Yeah, it can get a bit tricky. That's where Apollo comes in.
So it's like having a super fast car, but you need a mechanic who knows how to handle it.
You got it. Apollo is like a whole toolkit that makes building with GraphQL way smoother.
Ah, okay.
You got Apollo Server for creating the API Apollo client, for hooking it up to your app's front end, and Apollo Studio to keep an eye on everything.
So Apollo developers, they're the ones who've mastered this whole toolkit.
Exactly. They're the specialists in making those lightning fast, super efficient apps everyone wants.
It's not just your typical back-end developer.
Nope. They need to know GraphQL inside and out, like how to design schemas.
Schemas?
Yeah, think of them like blueprints for the data.
Okay.
And then there are resolvers functions that fetch the data based on those schemas.
So they bridge the back end and the front end.
Yeah, they got to make sure everything flows smoothly for the user, a good user experience.
So give me an example, like a real-world app where this makes a difference.
Let's say you're scrolling through a social media feed, tons of posts, images.
Yeah, those can be slow.
Right, with old school methods, it'd be super clunky, but with Apollo, they can use pagination.
Pagination, what's that?
Basically, it fetches the data bit by bit as you scroll, so it feels instant.
Ah, that makes sense.
No more waiting for everything to load.
So, okay, everyone wants to know the big question. How much do these Apollo gurus make? I was on the perfectdeveloper.com. They have some salary numbers.
Yeah, that's a great resource.
They really know their stuff.
It depends a lot on experience and location, of course.
Sure makes sense.
But to give you an idea, an entry-level Apollo developer in the US might start around $70,000 to $100,000 a year.
Not bad.
But someone with years of experience in like Silicon Valley could easily be making 170 or more.
Wow, location really is everything.
Oh yeah. Big time cost of living in those tech hubs is sky high, so salaries reflect that you might see lower rates in other parts of the US or countries like India.
Right, they have a huge developer pool. Okay, so let's say you're convinced you need an Apollo developer. What's the best way to go full-time, part-time contract? What are the pros and cons?
Well, each model has its own perks. It really boils down to your specific needs,
Okay, so full-time.
Full-time, you get that long-term commitment, deeper integration, but it comes with higher overhead, of course.
Makes sense.
Contract work can be great for a specific project. You need a specialist for a short time, more cost-effective.
And part-time. Does that even work for Apollo development?
It can, yeah. Especially if your project's kind of small or you only need them for like a few hours a week.
Okay. But then you might run into scheduling issues.
Yeah, availability and commitment. Those can be tricky with part-time.
Right. Okay, so let's say we figured out the hiring model. How do we actually know if someone's a good Apollo developer? What should we be looking for?
Good one. Obviously, they got to have those general development skills.
Right.
But on top of that, they need solid experience with the Apollo platform itself.
Okay, so what specifically, like which tools?
Apollo Server, Apollo Client, Apollo Federation, Apollo Studio, the whole shebang.
Gotcha, so they got to be comfortable with all of that.
And of course, a deep understanding of GraphQL itself. That's non-negotiable.
Makes sense. Can they actually design efficient schemas?
Yeah.
Implement resolvers? Optimize for performance?
Exactly. Those are the key things you want to see.
So in an interview, should we grill them on schemas and resolvers?
Not grill them, but you definitely want to dig into their process. See how they think.
Okay, so how would you do that?
You could ask them to describe like a really complex data fetching scenario they've dealt with.
Okay.
And how they used resolvers to get that data efficiently and structure it properly.
So their answer will tell you how much they really know.
Exactly. You can kind of gauge their depth of knowledge.
That's a good tip. Okay, so what about the non-technical stuff? Once we've hired someone, how do we make sure there's successful, Build a good working relationship.
Communication. I can't stress that enough.
Right. Be clear from the beginning.
Exactly. Set those expectations up front, project goals, timelines, communication protocols, all that jazz.
So don't just throw it into the code base and say, go make magic.
Nope. You got to invest in their growth, give them resources to stay up to date.
Yeah.
You know, Apollo and GraphQL, they're always evolving.
It's a fast-moving world.
For sure. And foster that open communication, let them ask questions, share ideas. Don't be afraid to give regular feedback and monitor performance.
Keep things on track.
Exactly.
This has been super helpful. It sounds like working with Apollo developers can be a bit tricky, but the results are worth it.
Totally. If you're building an app that needs to be super fast and efficient, an Apollo developer can be a real game changer.
For sure. And if anyone's feeling lost in the tech hiring maze, remember theperfectdeveloper.com?
Great resource.
They have all those tools and resources like that 5 questions thing you mentioned earlier.
It can really help you find the perfect Apollo developer for your needs.
It's like a cheat code for hiring.
Pretty much.
It really opens up a lot of possibilities, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's pretty amazing what you can do with Apollo.
And even if you're not building the next, Facebook or whatever, Apollo can still be a huge asset.
Oh, for sure. Any project that needs to handle data efficiently, and provide a smooth experience for the user, Apollo's a great choice.
Yeah, like e-commerce sites, internal dashboards, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Wherever you have complex data flowing through, Apollo can really make things cleaner and faster.
And if anyone's feeling a little intimidated by this whole hiring process, you don't have to do it alone.
Right. Theperfectdeveloper.com. They got your back.
They have all the resources and those tools like that 5 questions thing we talked about.
Yeah, that's a great one. It can really help you define what you need and find the perfect Apollo developer.
Makes it so much easier.
Absolutely. Takes a lot of the guesswork out.
So definitely check them out. Okay, I think that wraps up our mini deep dive into the world of Apollo developers.
It's been fun.
Yeah, thanks for breaking it all down for us.
No problem.
So hopefully you all learned a thing or two today about Apollo and GraphQL and all that good stuff. And remember, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, there's always more to discover. So keep diving deep, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.